An alarm clock rings, you wake up and decide to brush your teeth. Before leaving home, you need to have a fresh coffee. On the weekend, you watch out your window and your neighbor is washing his car. You open your fridge and you see a box of milk, yogurt, meat. Your fruits seem to be very juicy and hydrated. And as soon as you have a few days off, you decide to swim in a club pool. It is clear where we use water in our lives. What many people didn't realize is that all their products, electronics or not, use water in their manufacturing process. Now, have you ever imagined the impact that the lack of this resource can have on a global scale? You are probably already asking these questions. If it is so important, why do we produce water? You are really welcome to another Find Out video. Basically, water is a substance formed by two atoms of hydrogen and one of oxygen, the well-known H2O. These atoms simply share electrons and that's it. We have one of the main substances that sustains life on the planet. The percentage of water in humans' body varies with several factors such as age, level of physical activity, and gender. But on average, a person has 60% of their weight made up of water. It is not a coincidence that water is so present in our bodies. This substance helps to regulate body temperature, plays an essential role in the functions of the body since it helps maintain the shape of the cells and acts as a great solvent, helping to remove substances that the body rejects through urine. Everybody should drink the daily amount of water their body needs. Keeping your body hydrated is critical regardless of your daily activities, but it is crucial if you need to have a good cognitive performance during a test or competition, for example. Activities that require high concentration can overwhelm the brain. This organ is made up of around 80% water. So water is much more important for maintaining the health of your brain than your teeth, which have 8% of water in its structure. If you are on a trip where the place doesn't have access to drinking water, such as on a mountain, always carry a purifier and water bottles. The loss of only 4% of body water leads to dehydration. With 15% less water in the body, the consequence can be death. In society as a whole, water plays such a crucial role just as in human body. We currently use 8 times more water than we used to at the beginning of the 20th century. It was already used in the years of the first decade of the 21st century, more than 3.5 trillion cubic meters of water. If we accumulate all that water over New York City, for example, whoever was on the street would be under a water column more than 4,400 meters high. The world's agriculture industry is definitely the industry that consumes the most water in the world. 70% of world's water intake was directed to agriculture. Water treatment companies take the water we consume mainly from rivers and lakes. In some places more and others less often, already suffer from drought, what harms the supplies of cities in the world. In the United States, 2/3 of the drinking water comes from rivers. Therefore, we need alternative ways to get water, which does not involve drawing water from rivers. In this case, it would be necessary, for example, to store the water that falls on the houses and streets, keep the water in a reservoir, and use it when necessary. The use we would give to this water depends on the condition of the water and the level of treatment we would give it. In several places, the storage of rainwater that falls on the roof of the houses is encouraged, and without chemical treatment and quality control, this water is very suitable for applications such as flower irrigation, cleaning of external areas, and flushing toilets. In addition to these systems reducing the demand for water from a catchment plant, they also help to reduce the impact caused by periods of heavy rainfall, as part of this water can be stored. There are several other ways to withdraw and reuse water. We can reuse bath water for purposes that do not require potable water. We could use humidity from the environment condensing the water that is in the air. We could popularize more robust water filtration systems to expand rainwater applications. In many parts of the world, such as Middle East, North Africa, and California, the desalination of seawater is already widely used. Currently, about 1% of world's drinking water comes from the sea. Imagine now a scenario in which we have few options for withdrawing water. The change in Earth's average temperature has caused atmospheric currents to be drastically altered. Areas that were once fertile began to be desertified. Under these conditions, in a hypothetical scenario, governments around the world come to the conclusion that we should fully control the incidence of rainfall, dictating where, when, and how much it should rain. In reality, there is a way to control precipitation in real life. For rain or snow to fall, it is necessary that water vapor in the atmosphere finds aerosols. These are small particles that help to condense water and thus form drops. The desire to control the weather is very old. Controlling the clouds would give nations the power to guarantee their agricultural productivity, besides serving as a form of projection of strength around the world. After the Second World War, the United Kingdom had several scars of the terrible years of war. In this context, with the vivid memory of the attacks suffered by Nazi Germany, that the secret project colorless was being developed. In August 1952, this operation was put into practice. That year, the United Kingdom chose clouds to be one of its weapons of war. The test was carried out by the Royal Air Force, which powdered a load of dry ice, salt, and silver iodide above the clouds. The experiment was a success, even greater than they were expecting. In just 30 minutes, the rain started, and in a week, they realized they had invoked a flood. By the end of the month, in northern Devon, a region close to the test, it had rained 250 times the expected amount. The destruction caused by this experiment was enormous. Despite this catastrophe, countries like China still use this technique to make it rain on arid areas. So the way out of this problem may be just one. We should literally manufacture water. In fact, it is possible to produce water. You just need to mix the hydrogen gas with the oxygen gas and add heat to start the process. Heat breaks the bond between H2 and O2, so the bond between these two elements begins. Problem solved. See you later. It's not that easy. The problem is exactly in the bond that produces the chemical formula of water. At that moment, when water is produced, a very large amount of energy is released in a very short period. We commonly call this phenomenon an explosion. An experiment that demonstrates this reaction is the balloon experiment. A balloon is filled with hydrogen and oxygen, and at a safe distance, a heat source is provided. The result is a very quick explosion. It was this reaction that killed 36 people in the Hindenburg disaster. The Hindenburg airship attempted to dock at Lakehurst, US on May 6, 1937, when a spark reached the damaged hydrogen tank. As soon as the spark was added, all the elements of the reaction were together and a big explosion destroyed the airship. The amount of gas that would be needed to produce water for a single city is much greater than the amount in a balloon or in an airship. The risk of this practice would be huge, not only for the working on the site, but for the entire surrounding of the factory. Just the cost of purifying the gases to carry out the reaction would make our enterprise infeasible. The development of new ways of withdrawing, reusing, and treating water will be increasingly on the agenda. whether due to the need to have an alternative against the lack of rain or to be able to maintain sustainable human colonies on Mars or any other planet we will visit in the future. If you enjoy it, hit the like button on your screen and subscribe to the channel. Leave questions and suggestions in the comments. Thank you very much for your attention and see you next time.